The good news for St Helens was that Shane Cooper only passed fit minutes before the whistle, and Tommy Frodsham comes in at standoff in the absence of Neil Holding. But on the Hull side, good news as well. Noel Cleal, despite a broken toe, he packs down there at second row, and a very strong front row in Dannett, Jackson and Harrison really impressed me this season. And it's St Helens in the usual white strip, red V, to face what is, Alec, now getting up to be a very strong wind, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Ray, and it really should be a very interesting game. Both sides in banging form, and we should really be in for a cracking match.
Interesting, these doubts about Cooper. You know, he was coming out and then he wasn't coming out from the dressing room.
Well, there must be a doubt about him. He's been struggling all week, and it'll be interesting to see how he goes during the game.
Well, there he is, Cooper. If you've got a groin strain, I wouldn't be expecting him to be kicking to touch, so he can't be too bad. The twice winners of the Cup. Harrison again. And Dannett. Jackson, that's a good run. Oh yes, he's got support outside him. Just decided to go a little too far, but good football of this lad, Lee Jackson. Runs like a second row. And still Hull on the attack. Mackie. Well, he lost it. I thought for 1 minute then he'd got it back, Alec.
Well, really, that's bad play though from Hull, Ray. Really, they've got to capitalise on these chances. And this is a beautiful break from young Lee Jackson. They say this fella's one of the up-and-coming hookers, and doesn't he look it? I think if he'd turned to his right, I think there'd have been try begging.
In fact, Russell Walker was on his right, Alec.
Yes, it looked as though if it had gone to the right, there was a big chance of a try.
I think St Helens content to still be 0-0 after 12 minutes. They've had two chances against them. Dwyer. But this defence very, very sound from Hull. The sixth tackle, the prop forwards either side of the ruck, moving in quickly. High tackle there by Dwyer. Yes, facial tackle. Not a malicious tackle, but certainly we can see why Richard Gay's wearing the headgear. As more and more players are these days, Alec.
Well, obviously, Ray, I think a lot of people, it's just common sense, you know. Does no harm, and it keeps them safe.
Paul Eastwood there, number 2, eager to get this ball into play and then to get himself into play. Met each other quite a few times, these two clubs, in the Challenge Cup, with St Helens winning the last 5 encounters. Here's a good run. Oh, he's missed it. No, he's given a try. Well, it's a try. Andy Dannett. He seemed to come from nowhere. He just ploughed through the tackles. Certainly the ball was lost over the line. Whether it was before or after the try, we'll see.
Well, this is certainly what St Helens didn't want here. Andy Dannett flies onto the ball here. Where's the defence? Where's the tackling? George Mann, Paul Forber, very, very guilty indeed.
Well, I would think there'll be some debate about that, but it's still 4 points to 0 for Hull. Dannett, big, powerful lad, brushed young Connolly aside. St Helens complaining about that try, but I don't think they can have any complaints with the tackling like that. He went through 3 tackles. And that's the sort of defence that the new Kiwi coach, Mike McLennan, was not wanting. But a long time left in this match. So another 2 points from Paul Eastwood, his 63rd goal of the season, and Hull in the lead, 6 points to 0.
Now there is a doubt about this, but watch Andy Dannett. There's no doubt about the 2 bad tackles here. Paul forward, George Mann and Gary Conley brushing Milton. Now watch what happens. Does he put it over or does he lose it? It was very, very dicey.
I think it depends where you come from, Alec. Ball clean. Steve McNamara playing this game in the St Helens half. That's a good kick. Using this very, very strong wind. Loose forward McNamara. Eastwood chasing it, but quite content to see the ball roll into touch. But St Helens healing the ball well. Most of these Australian coaches, Alex, play for position all the time, don't they?
Yes, and they've got the strong wind rain. It's very, very important that they play St Helens in their own half, but also St Helens have got to come forward a bit more with the ball and keep hold of it for 6 tackles.
Cooper. Haggerty coming inside, but I think really St Helens have got to move this ball wide. That's what Cooper's trying. Beavers. You can see the difficulty there with the wind. Phil Beavers keeping that kick low, not gaining a lot of ground. And there's the difference. But sensibly, Gary Connolly letting it go.
Yes, but that's good tactics from Ulven. I can't understand the tactics from St Helens Ray. It's very strong wind, and kicking for possession in this game is just not on.
George Mann just taking this ball up at first receiver. No one really on the St Helens side making a break as yet. Groves. Goal, good run by Groves. Yes, and lying on. Phil Windley, number 7 for Hull, lying on the ball, and a good play by Groves again. Now then, he's got Sean Devine outside him. He'll not make it. Good cover tackle there by Noah Cleal, and Cleal holding down. And played again by Cooper. And again another penalty. Still Haggerty. Now then, Alex, should he have gone for 2 points?
Well, I think that was very, very bad play, Ray. If they don't come away with points in this game and they lose by 2 points, I think Shane Cooper will be a very worried man.
Certainly the second penalty was directly in front of the post. There were 2 points begging there. But can Saints get the 4 or 6 here? Loughlin, that's a good ball to Dwyer. He's going for the line, and he's got it. Well, Alex Murphy and I were wrong. Shane Cooper was right, and St Helens have got the try that they wanted. They moved the ball out wide. Bernard Dwyer was there, and it was a formality for this local St Helens lad. His second try of the season, showing no emotion, but I'm sure he'll be delighted with that.
Well, obviously proved wrong, but Shane Cooper here, queuing up to score tries here. Tommy Frodsham, Bernard Dwyer shows a fine turn of pace, runs through for a good try for St Helens.
And I think Saints really there showing the difference in pace between these two sides when St Helens have that ball out amongst the backs. Paul Loughlin to kick. Another player troubled in recent weeks with groin trouble. It's hitting these rugby league players at the moment. But a powerful kick striker when he's at his best, but not today. So, no goal for Loughlin, but 6 points to 4 for Hull.
Well, I think St Helens had to score here, but they was absolutely queuing up to score this try. Frodsham, Dwyer, and it looked a little lack of pace in the Hull side. Good try for St Helens.
Windley. Now then, if you want to put a kick in, Alec, 5 minutes before half-time, that's the one, isn't it?
Yes, that's the killer, but the problem is now they must come up with the ball, and I think there might be a problem here where the touch judge might have saw something off the ball, but no, he looks as though he's waving play on.
Yeah, and he looks as if he's enjoying himself, doesn't he? And it's Hull ball. Now then, that's a bad slip by Divine. It was St Helens heading ball, and Hull come up with it. 6 tackles. Richard Gay. Hull now driving in. Brian Blacker. That's a good tackle from Paul Loughlin. 2 yards now from this St Helens line. Jackson. The short pass to Clee. Oh, he's a powerful, rampaging lad when he gets going. Roy Haggerty clinging to dear life. Jackson to Dannett. Hull using these big forwards, driving down the middle. Windley again. Oh, he's lost everybody, but they've let him get away. And he's lost the ball. A chance gone begging there by Phil Windley. He escaped, but couldn't put it down.
Well, I don't know what Windley's doing here. He just doesn't know what he's going to do here. He runs one way, then runs the other way. He certainly gets lost and takes his players out, and in the end a little chip, but
Cooper. Frodsham, 3 minutes left in the half to Loughlin. Not seen a lot of Paul Loughlin. The ball not really moved out to this Great Britain centre. I think both coaches, Alec, can be satisfied with the defensive strategies.
Well, I wouldn't be satisfied if I was Brian Smith. I certainly not 6-4 in front. I think McClellan will be a lot happier because they're going to have a strong wing in the second half, and St Helens look as though they've got that yard of pace if they move the ball out wide.
And they are doing. Cooper, that's a good chip. Well taken by Blacker. Well intended though by St Helens, but Hull coming up with the ball. Harrison driving in again. Hull making most ground with these 2 props. St Helens pack standing back, letting them run. Mackie. I think Hull's sense here, they've got to get some more points on the board. Minutes ticking away, and there's the Hull props again, giving them far too much room, Alec.
Yes, they are, but it's one-man football there. There's very little support, and they're certainly going to have to score from this position.
Windley, back to Cleal. And a forward pass. And I think that could be a handover. No, a scrum. That's me thinking again.
Well,
Alec.
I think, Ray, that's why you've never become a referee.
Thank you. Divine. And just 60 seconds to go. I'm sure St Helens will hold the ball for these 6 tackles. Not be looking for anything risky here, nothing adventurous. Cooper, back to man.
I think considering Shane Cooper's had a bad leg, Ray, he's in a lot of the play, isn't he?
Oh, it's been one of the great confidence tricks of the weekend, Alec.
I would think that could have been a possibility.
The ball to Beavers. Oh, good dummy. Good confrontation between these two, Marquis Charles and Phil Beavers. Good running, good tackling. Connolly. Oh, well judged by Connolly. Now then, It's a chase, but it's a strong wind. Will it hold? Well, the crowd roar, and he's given it. Referee Mr. Kershaw gives the try, and I think it was the strength of that wind as well as the ingenuity of this youngster, 18 years of age. He took a gamble and it paid off. Saints in the lead, 8 points to 6, and what a time to win the lead.
Well, that's a great try for St Helens, and what a time to score it. Moved the ball out wide here, always follow the ball and always play the advantage. Great play by young Gary Conley. Now watch as he kicks the ball, never stops running, plays the ball all the way and just gets a touch to it. Good try.
Yeah. Certainly Connolly was claiming that try. It's only his third of the season, but could possibly be the most important one of the season for that youngster. And not the easiest of kicks for Paul Loughlin. But 8 points to 6, St Helens in the lead. But facing a strong wind, he's got to curve this ball round. And he doesn't do, he curves it too much. So St Helens 8 points to 6, and what a good try.
Well, this was it. Gary Conley had a lovely little chip through and follows the ball. Now he gets a tremendous big boot to it here, and all you've got to do, you've only got to touch the ball over the line. He does just that. He just gets a fingertip to it, and that's enough.
And there is the half-time hooter. No chance for Hull to reply, and I'm sure St Helens New Zealand coach Mike McClellan's going to be very, very happy with that, going in at half-time there, leading 8 points to 6. St Helens skipper, loose forward Shane Cooper, only declared fit minutes before the kick-off. There was drama in the dressing room as to whether he would come out or not, but I'm sure Alex Saints must be glad that he did come out.
Yes, because he's been the difference between the two sides, Ray. He's moving the ball about very quickly, and I think they'll be very happy at half-time.
And certainly coach McClellan will be happy. 8 points to 6 for St Helens. And as we thought, I think Noel Cleal suffering too much from that broken toe. A great forward, but if you're injured, you can't play. And coming on for Noel Cleal, Paul Wellham. So St Helens opening up lively in here, and John Sharp, Paul Wellham, two substitute forwards on for Cleal and McNamara. And that's a good run. Oh, brilliantly gathered! And he's over. What a shot try! But just the handling of George Mann there for a prop forward. He can run, he can pass, and what a beautiful take of the ball and the slip to Phil Beavers. And that's a devastating try, certainly, against Hull. Phil Beavers, been in superb form this season, had to leave the field last Sunday against Leeds after 18 minutes with an elbow injury. And another player Saints must be glad to see on the field.
Well, this is just the start St Helens needed. A beautiful little chip by Shane Cooper. George Mann takes it as though it's no problem and gives Phil Beavers the simplest of chances.
A difficult kick, but unlike his kicks in the first half, he does have a very strong following wind. And there is the advantage of that wind, and it's 2 points. 14 points to 6 for St Helens, and Loughlin smiles on his face now. He knows he's got the wind advantage.
Well, we have here the Kiwi connection. Shane Cooper, George Mann, a beautiful little chip, and just look the way the big fella takes it. Takes it very well and said, "Here, Phil, I've done the work, you score the try."
And St Helens straight away using that wind. But offside. Sean Devine appealing, but you must stay 5 yards off the receiver of the ball. He must be allowed to run before anyone can encroach within 5 yards. And Mr Kershaw right on the spot. No hesitation there, but for the penalty to Hull. Windley, Mackey. I saw these two half-backs, Mackey and Windley, absolutely devastate Wigan earlier in the season with their form, but not done so yet here with St Helens.
They look as though they're two scrum halves ready. They don't look like a good combination of half-backs because not one of them's running with the ball.
Charles. And Hull, I think, now have got to move this ball around. I don't think they can over-concentrate too much on these forwards. Mackey. Now that's a dangerous kick. It's hovering in the wind. Oh, well taken by Connolly. Hunt. Man, oh, brilliant ball, Tommy Frodsham. Not the quickest of players, but he's got Loughlin coming up in support on his outside. Oh, he's going the full length of the field. No, he's not. Well, brilliant sidestep, but I think he would have been better employed to have passed that ball to Loughlin, but one can't criticise after rugby like that. Magnificent play. And I think the little Devine letting his head and heart carry away. And a bad knock-on from Forber. St Helens, to my mind there, Alec, lost a certain 6 points.
Well, for me, that should have been a try begging. That was a beautiful break, a short ball from George Mann, and a lovely break by Tommy Frodsham. But he had Paul Loughlin all the way down with him, and surely that would have finished this match.
And Frodsham having a very influential role to play here. John Sharp. Good run from Sharp, but a risky pass, a bad pass. Picked up by Groves. Mann. Good tackling. And even the sun shining now. In the middle of our picture there we can see the touch judge, Mr Palmer, coming on the field. He's obviously spotted something that occurred, I think, behind Mr Kershaw's back, possibly an off the ball incident. And well, whatever it is, it's Paul Groves, and I don't think his coach Mike McClellan will be happy with this. He talked about discipline being instilled into the side this week to me, and here's a perfect position for St Helens gone begging, Alec.
Yes, and it's bad play when you say, but I don't think he was that bad, Ray. I think he just let the ball loose, and Paul Groves will not be very happy with that, but you know, the referee caught him, and so did the touch judge.
Cooper, that's a good kick. And it's Mann, come up with the ball again. Oh, and he's still rethinking Quirk. Did right there to take Gay on the outside. But St Helens on the attack, Forber crashing in. And suddenly St Helens have weathered the storm. Cooper. Beautiful ball from Frodsham. Haggerty. Frodsham again, Vivers. This is good rugby. Cooper. Oh, interception. Well read. John Sharp doing well there.
I think there's a vast difference between these two sides, Ray, in football ability. St Helens, when they run with the ball, look in a different league.
And yet, the score still only 14 points to 6 for St Helens. Still plenty of time for Hull to come back in this game. But I think they've got to play the game 10, 15 yards from St Helens line. That pace isn't there to go 60, 70 yards. Mr Kershaw ordering a scrum, but the ball did go backwards, Alec, to another Hull player.
Yes, I thought he should have played the advantage then, but I think he was told by the touch judge.
So, St Helens heading ball. St Helens perhaps a little fortunate with this. Frodsham playing a very dominant role here in midfield, working along this Shane Cooper's accomplice. I wouldn't be surprised to see St Helens going for a drop kick, Alec.
I would think, Ray, they'll keep this ball moving about.
Now that's good play, superb play there, because St Helens put the pressure on Paul Eastwood. If they'd kept him behind the line, there would have been a drop out, and ultimately St Helens ball. But Hull pinned down here. And I think this is a desperate gamble by Hull coach Brian Smith. Lord Clean obviously suffering with a broken toe. Looks to have a slight limp there coming on. I think possibly hoping for 20 minutes here at the expense of Russell Walker.
Well, that seemed a very, very big gamble to me, Ray. They took him off in the first half because he couldn't stand the pace, and surely the game's gone a lot quicker in the last 10 minutes.
Dwyer. Not the biggest of forwards, but hard-working. This number 11, Bernard Dwyer. Cooper. Good pass to Haggerty. He's going over. He's there. That's where Roy Haggerty should be. Out wide. The pass from Cooper. And that's where Roy Haggerty has the speed, and he has the power to break the tackles. Perhaps doing a little too much at first and second receiver here this afternoon. But that's the tries Roy Haggerty loves to score.
Well, this is where Roy Haggerty is his very, very best. This is a beautiful ball again from Shane Cooper. But Roy Haggerty, very strong, very powerful, and with that little bit extra pace, scores the try St Helens need.
Good, strong runner, an entertainer, Roy Haggerty. Spectators or the opposition never know quite what he's going to do next. And not too difficult to kick for Loughlin. Just the one conversion to date. 4 tries to Saints from Dwyer, Connolly, Mann and Haggerty. And a second one from Loughlin. 20 points to 6 now for St Helens into the final quarter.
Well, this is a very, very good try from St Helens here. A beautiful ball from Shane Cooper. Roy Haggerty meets it on the burst, scatters 2 old players out the way, has that little bit of pace, that little bit of strength, and that is a good try.
Haggerty. Well, he was looking for a drop goal then. Get off him, says Mr. Kershaw. Cooper, the kick to the corner, the pressure on Gay. And little Windley now getting desperate to keep this ball moving. Paul Whelan. This John Sharp with the ball, I think, ran well since his arrival on the pitch.
Yes, he did, Ray, but having said that, I think the lacking of idea in the whole side has been alarming. You know, Brian Smith must be bitterly disappointed. They've not even been able to string two passes together.
Charles. Good battle there this afternoon between Charles and Beavers.
And I think that's one gamble, Ray, that's not paid off, is it, Crusher Cleal? I think the big man in the middle, he'll be very, very disappointed. Wanted to go to Wembley this year, but I'm afraid it's not to be.
Yes, we've seen some great games from him in the Australian Test colours. 10 minutes left. Cooper. Oh, that's a bad pass, but he's got it back again. I get the feeling on it though, St Helens just content now just to sit on this lead. They're just holding the ball.
Well, I think they realise, Ray, they might have done enough, but you should never do that in rugby league. I think they're just coursing through the game. They've got miles too much football ability, and they're just running man for man now.
They're just driving in with the forwards. It's safe, it's sound, it's cup-winning rugby. But teams can often slip up. Groves. Good tackle there from Andy Dannett. And the sixth tackle. Haggerty looking for the drop. Just to the right of the post. Likes to drop goals, this lad. Just one to his credit this season. Cleal again. But this little pack can't escape the tackling. Cleal. And he's a big lad. They don't call him Crusher for nothing. When in Australia in his younger days, he used to like to go wild boar hunting, and I don't think I'd like to have been a wild boar, Alec.
No, I don't think I'd like to run down the same streets as him, never mind go wild boar hunting with him. He's a big lad, but I think today he'll be very, very disappointed.
Just 8 minutes left, 20 points to 6 for St Helens. And Hull losing the ball again. If Mr. Kershaw doesn't get out of there, he'll be trapped. Not quite. St Helens three-quarter line out a little flat, the dummy run and the round movement just not on. Cooper again, playing the short side, that's good play from Lachlan. Good ball to Quirk, but a forward pass or touch, yes. Paul Lachlan showing a little bit of his speed and size, and good support play there from Les Quirk, the wing.
I think Shane Cooper had a lot to do with that, Ray. Again, he spotted the gap on the blind side, brought Paul Lachlan onto the ball, and that could have been another try for St Helens.
Paul Groves can't get in the scrum. St Helens centres coming in very, very quickly on the outside, causing Hull to cut back in field. St Helens never Hull's favourite side to play against. In fact, the heaviest defeat in Hull's history against St Helens just a couple of seasons ago, 64 points to 2. And offside. Yes, even the side in possession must be 5 yards away from the play of the ball, and Mr Kershaw spotting that McNamara was not 5 yards, and not afraid to tell Noel Cleal either. And that's a good kick from Loughlin, 40 yards, sets St Helens on the attack. George Mann. And here's Haggerty again, the try scorer in this half. Saints quite content just to settle down here, camp out down here. Cooper. Oh, that's a good tackle. John Sharp spotting that Groves was opening up play there. Loughlin. Nice chip kick. Quirk's got it. No. Just didn't get the hand there. The ball just stood up for him, but good anticipation there from Les Quirk. And a superb kick from Loughlin.
Well, I do believe this is a lovely little kick from Loughlin here, and Les Quirk, if he'd have kept his eye on the ball, would have scored. All he had to do was watch the ball. Maybe went a little bit too early, but was very, very close.
Just 4 minutes left. Gary Connolly. Always a daunting prospect to play here at the Boulevard, especially for an 18-year-old fullback, but he's come through. Loughlin again, beautiful ball to Quirk. He's got one man to beat. He does. It's a try. Once again, Shane Cooper superbly using the blind side. Les Quirk gratefully receives his second try of the season. And St Helens convincing winners of this second round tie. Quirk been away a couple of times in the last 6 or 7 minutes. Just didn't quite get there, but that time he did.
Well, fitness have never been a problem at St Helens, and this is lovely play by Loughlin. George Mann, a beautiful ball from Paul Loughlin, and Les Quirk, big strong lad, looks on the outside, looks on the inside, and does very well to score.
Yes, I think he knew he could afford to take the tackle there. And a very difficult kick for Paul Loughlin, but at 24 points to 6 with a couple of minutes to go, I don't think he'll be too concerned. And these are the kicks when you're relaxed that you'll usually put over, but not this case. So 24 points to 6 for St Helens.
Well, this is it again. Lovely hands here by St Helens. George Mann, a beautiful ball here, and Paul Loughlin, quick hands, and Les Quirk finishes off in style. Looks right, looks left, takes the full back, does well.
And Mark Bailey just getting 2 minutes of the rugby for Tommy Frodsham. Hunt again, coming in from midfield. Now playing the ball to himself, but you can't do that if there is a player marking you. And Shane Cooper, number 13, still directing. Man of the match on the £125 award. And how well he's deserved it. Harrison. Hull again, the whole pack, looking for a consolation try. Just 1 minute left.
Ray, I think this has been a great performance by St Helens. A lot of good judges fancied Hull to go to Wembley, but I think St Helens have really played them off the park.
Yes, consolation try there for Hull. Young number 13, Steve McNamara. Only a youngster in the game, but on a big occasion, a cup tie like this, but at least the consolation of a try. So St Helens now 24 points to 10. But Hull, despite the try, I think well and truly out of this cup.
Well, this is a try against a run of play here, because it looks as though they held him short here, the young number 13. He does well, he forces away and just gets the ball over the line.
So, kick for Paul Eastwood should be comparatively straightforward. But on to time. Oh, he's hit the post, but it's gone over. So 24 points to 12. There is the looter. And Saints' new Kiwi coach Mike McLennan couldn't have wished for a better start to his career in England. Championship win last Sunday against Leeds. Now a cup win against another Yorkshire side. Hull. And there's the man he's had to rely on. Man of the match and Kiwi supreme, Shane Cooper. And I think he'll be very, very confident in Monday's third round draw, Alec.
Yes, I think St Helens have played well, and I think this fella number 13 has had a magnificent game. Thoroughly deserved the victory.
An excellent match, superb performance from Cooper, and we know who St Helens face in that draw on Monday. Hull 12, St Helens 24.
The match that we've got for you this